Good Monday evening, Southeast Texas. Welcome to 12 News Plus. We're going to take the next 15 minutes and dive in depth to your 7-day forecast. Right now, we're watching the sea breeze move through orange right now. That's usually what brings us shower and thunderstorm activity. Just not a lot of moisture in the atmosphere to be able to produce showers and storms. Still could see an isolated evening shower, particularly in Orange, southern Jasper, southern Newton counties. Over the next hour or so as the sun sets. Still currently 90 degrees over at the Horseman's Western Store in Orange, part of the Roofing 911 Skycam network. 2 years ago tomorrow. See, today's the 25th, 26th, 27th. That would be Wednesday. Wednesday the 27th, we will have we're going to mark 2 years since we hit our all-time record high, which was 111 degrees. Do you remember that? 111 degrees is the hottest temperature that has ever been recorded since records began in 1901. Also, we're coming up, I think, a Friday, looking at the record wettest day in all of history, at least in recorded history, since 1901. On the 29th of August 2017, associated with Harvey, we picked up over 2 feet of rain in one 24-hour period. So over an inch per hour is what we recorded in Beaumont on the 29th of August 2017. I'll never forget that. That was 8 years ago, coming up on Friday. So let's see, we've seen the hottest, the wettest, I think it was the coldest in January. And that's all since I've been here at 12 News. In the last 23 plus years, has all happened within the last 8-9 years, so pretty impressive. Otherwise, I digress. Pretty nice up in the lakes area, at least at the airports if you live there. A lot of people don't. Otherwise, a lot of reports of temperatures in the upper 60s up in the lakes to the lower 70s here, in lower and middle 70s here in the Triangle. At least these are the airport readings. A lot of neighborhoods did not see that. Otherwise, in your weather headlines, scattered showers and thunderstorms return. If not tomorrow, then certainly as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday. And unfortunately, rain and shower and thunderstorm activity looking likely coming up late Friday, Friday evening, and Friday night as a weak cold front pushes through the area. Now, again, we want to say this is a weak cold front. But it is a cold front because it's going to bring drier air. And that drier air mass, as long as this front behaves and does what modeling thinks it's going to do, it pushes out in the Gulf and doesn't stall over us, and we'll have a drier air mass as we head on into, say, Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and into Labor Day with maybe a little cooler morning lows as we head towards Labor Day, Sunday morning into Labor Day, and the afternoons will still be hot in the lower 90s, but the humidity levels will be lower. So that weak front would certainly help if this materializes and that front does indeed go out into the Gulf. Never certain about anything as far as when you're dealing with fronts this time of year. Tomorrow I'm going to go with a 20, maybe 30% coverage of showers and afternoon thunderstorms here in the Triangle. High in the mid-90s. As you can see, modeling is, I think, too wet. We'll go with, again, about a 20, maybe 30% coverage, but I like the mid-90s. Again, that was the first graphic I showed you was my forecast. This is modeling, and it's certainly a lot wetter. Let's see my forecast up in the lakes area, going basically dry, maybe a 10% coverage, but very low chances. Mid-90s under partly cloudy skies. Let's see what the modeling says. Well, it's just wetter, 20% coverage. I guess that's possible, but it's showing mid-90s up that way, so we're not too far away. Otherwise, looking at highs will remain into the low to mid-90s through the next 7 days, so summer persists. But again, we'll take a little bite out of the heat index coming up Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and Monday, should that front go out into the Gulf like we think it will. So the humidity levels will make that heat index a little bit lower this Labor Day weekend. Until then, looks like our best chance of scattered shower and thunderstorm activity will be Wednesday and Thursday, going up to a 50, 60, maybe 70% coverage coming up Friday evening. It's not the best of news for Friday night football, I know. Maybe some leftovers Saturday morning along the coastline. Then no rain expected. Again, The one caveat is that the front pushes south far enough in the Gulf, then it looks like it will be dry coming up Sunday into Labor Day. So some better news there. Look at this. This is what I have to work with to put the forecast together. This is not something I've built. This is the shower and thunderstorm activity Friday evening. Okay, that's the weak front coming through. So good coverage of showers and storms. Then unfortunately, it could be 50, 60, 70% coverage. We'll know more as we head through the next couple of days when we get into the window of high-res modeling. I believe that'll be maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. But right now, plan on at least a 50% coverage of showers and thunderstorms. Could be some lightning delays with this thunderstorm activity Friday evening. Not looking good. I wish I had better news. And it certainly could still change pending the high-res modeling. All right, so here's the sea breeze. You can see it right there. And we were able to get an isolated shower over extreme, well, the county line there in Jasper and Orange County. A little bit closer inspection shows that isolated, very isolated thunder shower. It's not even a thunder shower, weak shower in through north. Well, it looks like north of Vidor there. Otherwise, it's about it for today. So in our perusal across the state, look at all the clouds and rain up into Oklahoma and Arkansas north of this front disturbance coming down, interacting with this front, but pretty quiet in through central, east, and south Texas for the most part. And this is what we could get into as we head towards Friday evening as the next front comes on down. Not this one, but the next front comes down as we head towards Friday afternoon and Friday evening. So this evening, again, looking pretty quiet, and mostly clear skies are expected to develop. I think lower 70s are real doable up in the lakes area, maybe close to 70 in some outlying spots, and into the mid and possibly upper 70s here in the Triangle. Then for tomorrow, we're expecting partly cloudy skies, and again, about a 20% coverage triangle. I think the best chance of thunderstorm right in through Hardin, southern Jasper, southern Newton counties is where we expect the best convergence or shower and thunderstorm activity to occur. Not much in the lakes, maybe a 10% coverage. You can see it right here on this particular model coming up for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And that's the reason today that we didn't see much is because the deep moisture, look at the scale, the greens, yellows, and oranges have all been pushed out into the Gulf because of that latest front. So tomorrow, though, we'll start to see moisture coming down from the northwest into our area. So it looks like 20 to 30% coverage, and still plentiful moisture coming in on Wednesday and Thursday. That would likely give us a good 30, maybe 40% coverage as we head on into, say, a Wednesday and Thursday. Trough of low pressure. This is in the upper levels. This is not the surface. The front will be back off towards our northwest, coming in from the northwest. But this is a trough that will bring the front on in. But look at all the moisture way up the scale. This is Friday in the morning. Look at Friday evening. Moisture way up the scale. So it could be some heavy rainfall as we head towards Friday evening, unfortunately, as that front pushes on into southeast Texas with shower and thunderstorm activity likely across our area. Then the front pushes south. As long as it does, and this front behaves, and the modeling does well, then all the moisture, or at least a lot of it, would be, the deepest moisture would be pushed out into the Gulf, and that would make for a pretty good look in Sunday and into Labor Day with mainly dry weather conditions at this time is what we're expecting. In the tropics, we are doing fantastic right now, at least for the next 7 days. There is Ferdinand. It is not an issue. It is outbound and barely a tropical storm with winds of, well, 60 miles an hour, but is expected to become extra tropical. Obviously, it's outbound, so not much of an issue. Otherwise, in the tropics, remember Invest 99L, that was that area the Hurricane Center was watching into the eastern Caribbean right there. That was where 99L was located and is currently located. It is now dissipated. Why is that occurring? Look at all of this. That is lots of Saharan dust. It's not the dust that is causing it to dissipate. What that is telling us is that the air is very dry in the mid-levels. I've said this many times on 12 News Plus that dry air eats clouds, and it really puts a damper on shower and thunderstorm activity. That's why we track dry air. And with this Saharan dust, that's like a tracer or a tracker for us, and that is telling us that the air is very dry over the Caribbean. And if you look, these arrows are color coordinated to where there is stronger shear right there across the Caribbean. So the dust, the dry air associated with that dust, and also strong shear help to basically dissipate Invest 99L. The remnants of this are expected to go into central Mexico, south, way south of our area. So over the next 7 days, that would take us to about the 4th of September. Not expecting anything. It looks very quiet in the Gulf, thankfully, but that may not be the case as we head towards about the 15th of September. Things will probably start ramping up as the Madden-Julian oscillation starts becoming more favorable for development in the Atlantic Basin. Otherwise, the lobe of Saharan dust moving across the main development zone. So we want to keep all that dust possible as we head on into the next couple of weeks as we head towards the peak of hurricane season. On the Gulf tomorrow, looking at slightly choppy seas around 2 feet. We'll see easterly winds at 10 knots, water temperature 91. High tides at Sabine Pass at 5:47 a.m. and 6:22 p.m. Have you noticed it's getting darker earlier? Yes, 7:45 now is sunset coming up tomorrow. Sunrise approaching 7 a.m. It's at 6:48 tomorrow morning. The days are continuing to grow shorter. Could be around 72 to 70 up in the lakes and mid 70s. Maybe a few spots in the upper 70s here in the Triangle. We expect skies to become mostly clear with light southeasterly winds gradually becoming calm. And then for tomorrow, I think the best chance of shower and thunderstorm activity will be inland southeast Texas. When we talk about the lakes or the Triangle, well, Kuntz and Silsbee and Buda and Lumberton, really, they're not in the Triangle and they're really not in the lakes area, are you? That's why we put together this inland section. So Hardin, southern Jasper, southern Newton counties, I think you're going to see the best chance of shower and thunderstorm activity across our area tomorrow. Probably dry in the lakes area. If we see anything, it'd be pretty low chances, maybe a 10 to 20% coverage at most up there. And here in the Triangle, 20, maybe 30% coverage. So a little bit below normal as far as rainfall. High temperatures will be a little bit above normal. About a degree or two tomorrow. We should be about 93. Otherwise, taking a look at your weather impact 7-day forecast, we'll go with about 94, which is again about a degree or two higher than normal. And then pretty normal rain chances as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Wednesday and Thursday, about a 30% coverage. That's pretty normal for this time of year. Again, Friday, late Friday afternoon into Friday evening. It's just unfortunate for high school football. I'm hoping that this will change, but we'll go with a 50, maybe 60 to 70% coverage. That's what you just saw it on modeling. I showed you that. So, you know, pretty good chance of rain and thunderstorm activity coming up Friday evening as that front starts to slide into our area. Now, provided that the front behaves like modeling shows,